I guess like a lot of the conversation that we had during that time also, since we were both stuck inside a lot during COVID, was us just like catching up and opening up to each other about what our experiences were with mental health and going to therapy and psychologists, and I guess how we relate to that and balancing like art and music. And then so a lot of the songs are actually from that, like those conversations. A lot of the lines are like direct references to conversations that me and Gage have had. But I also grew up doing like a lot of martial arts, and I also grew up watching a lot of anime. And one of one of the animes I really liked growing up was JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and that you have like a stand, and a lot of animes have this idea of like the last merch drop we did. We have like Gundam as an inspiration for the design. I love like Evangelion, Neon Genesis, and a lot of these, like, a big fighting robot. Like you always have this other being, this like other thing that you're controlling, but sometimes you don't know what part is you. Is the pilot separate from the robot, or the thing fighting? Which is which? And to me, Ghostform, I kind of felt like when you enter a certain zone, whenever if it's like a transitory stage in your life, or depressive state or something, you're almost like a ghost, like in a ghost form. At least I am, and a lot of times people don't want that. They want to avoid that.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the All Music Matters Net podcast. I'm your host, Brian. And today, welcome another special guest. Welcome Merv, aka Merv XX Gotti from Ghostform. How you doing today, brother?
Yo, what's up? Happy to be here.
Good to have you on here too. So, which part of the world are you guys hailing from?
Right now I'm in Regina, Saskatchewan, in Canada, the middle of Canada. Most of my time I'm in Toronto, but the rest of the band is here, so we've just been working on some new stuff.
I guess how's it been recently in Toronto? Because I know people have been talking about the wildfires that kind of happened. Is that more in the Quebec region where it's kind of happening?
Oh no, it was pretty bad in Toronto, at least from what my friends were saying. I was luckily on tour when everything was happening. I was on tour in Western Canada, so I avoided most of it. But yeah, my friends were sending me pictures of like the orange sky. It really looked like Blade Runner or something. I think it's better now, but they say it's still a little bit dicey.
Yeah, not too sure about the situation, but hopefully good vibes and everything. Hopefully nice recovery afterwards there too. So,
Yeah, totally. Where are you calling from?
I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay. So none of the smoke made it to you, huh?
Unfortunately, it did. So, so
Oh.
well, it got a little weird, and unfortunately, it was still during those hot sort of days in July there. So, fortunately, the rain came through about a week later and kind of washed it away in a manner of speaking. So we're all good.
Okay, sweet. I just know a lot of my American friends in New York were being like, "Stupid Canadians, like stop spitting all your dust over here."
You're ruining my son. That whole
Yeah,
deal.
exactly.
How am I supposed to have the tan body and all that stuff? And get chicks at the bar and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So I know. But I don't blame you guys. It's just Mother Nature doing her work.
Hmm.
Unfortunately. So, all right. But I've been to Toronto a couple times. I guess, how's it this time of the year outside of the obvious situation?
It's typical kind of, Toronto summer, humid, really hot. I mean, some people like it. Last weekend was a Caravana weekend, which is always like a lot of fun. Yeah, it's everyone's out in Toronto just because, like, in Canada, Toronto especially, but just generally in Canada, you only get so many summer days, so many sunny days. Most of the year is just pretty cold, pretty bleak.
That'd be more Winnipeg, where to get the frozen tundra sort of scenario going on there.
Yeah, exactly. Winnipeg's like playing on hard mode.
I guess so. You did mention that you were on tour. I guess when those fires were kind of breaking out, I guess was this for Ghostform or are you in another band?
No, actually, just my solo project. I have a singer songwriter solo project. It's kind of like dream folky kind of stuff that I tour quite a bit. I was playing Catalano Fest in Vancouver, Tiny Lights Fest in BC, a few dates. It's just nice because like most of the Ghostform guys are in Regina, and Regina is where I grew up. So if I tour Western Canada with my solo project, I usually find a way to loop back coming home so I can practice with the guys, or like if we have some gigs or something. Like we just played Gateway Festival in Saskatchewan last weekend or a weekend ago, and that's always like, you know, one of the best parts of summer in Saskatchewan. It's just like indie band summer camp kind of thing.
That's good. So is it your very good work out there, Merv? So
Oh yeah, you know, just trying to be a touring artist in 2026, which is a little strange, but it's the only thing I know how to do.
But is there anybody else in that solo project that kind of helps out, or is it just strictly you?
It's pretty much just me. I'll play with some players from time to time, like especially in Toronto, but for the most part, I kind of intentionally just have the solo project, just able to move pretty fast with things, just because I know with Ghostform, a lot of my like, you know, collaborative efforts kind of go there, and I'm just your stereotypical pretty introverted artist too, so that I really don't mind the soloness of it.
As I don't feel bad. I'm an introvert too, so at least this is a good way to at least break the mold there, to say the
Yeah,
least.
totally.
All right. But just to fill you in, Merv, the way this is going to work is I just want to ask you some questions to get to know you more, both as the musician, but also as the individuals as well here too. So, ready?
Okay, sweet. Sounds good.
All right. So we start back at the beginning. He was just a wee lad. So I guess tell the audience your backstory of how you became a musician.
If we're really going back, I hated music growing up. I grew up in a, you know, typical Cantonese household. You learn piano, not to love music, but just, I don't know, to learn pattern recognition or brain development or something. And I just remember it being so horrible, like always thinking like, oh, why is this old white lady just yelling at me? Music was not a nice experience, like at all. Until I got a guitar when I was pretty young, maybe before I became a teenager at a garage sale. And just playing around on that, I was like, oh, maybe music can be fun, maybe. And then I had this friend group in high school. It was just like this group of weird art girls, and they just loved going to hardcore shows. So I would just go with them, and that's kind of how I got involved in the hardcore scene in Saskatchewan. And that was kind of like my fundamental layer of how I got into music, like whether it was putting on shows or playing shows or learning how to write songs. It was all because of the Saskatchewan hardcore scene. And actually, all the guys in Ghostform, we all kind of grew up in the hardcore scene here, in different capacities and maybe like different generations. But it was like a really special way to build up how you see music, I think. Like even John and Garrett, who drum and play bass, they're older than me. They're older than us. But I actually remember in high school, I watched their bands play. And then Chris, who's in Toronto with me, he was kind of younger. So I think we have maybe like 3 generations of the hardcore scene in Ghostform. And that's kind of been like the underlying thread that connects us together.
I did see a little band picture on Facebook right there. I was going to say, it explains the hardcore scene, especially since one of your members is given the bird and all that sort of stuff. So
Yeah, that's just Chris being Chris. He's a little bit of a doofus.
but a lovable doofus. He's our doofus, we should say.
Yeah,
So
he's a lovable doofus. But yeah, that really, in some form or capacity, everyone's kind of played in bands together. Not Ghostform, before Ghostform. Garrett and John and Gage have Blue Youth together, which are still active, and Gage and Nolan and Chris played in Surf Dads together, also like an indie rock band prior, like pre-COVID. But even though this is the first time all of us are playing together technically in Ghostform, it really felt so natural, I guess, just because we all have that chemistry and the relationship of the hardcore scene being the glue. And yeah, it's just like this has been like a pretty awesome first year for us.
That's good. Okay. So did you go to university after high school? Maybe do something music theory, or how'd the whole music thing kind of come about?
Oh, yeah, nah. I basically quit music after high school. I played shows in high school. Me and Gage were in a hardcore band together, and I played some solo stuff under a different name, but kind of I took the stereotypical path. I went to school for software engineering, and I got that degree, and I basically didn't play music all throughout university. I only kind of came back to it when I at the last year, I kind of was even questioning, do I even like music anymore? And then at that point, I was in a different band. I was in a hip hop band with my best friend Savan. He was the rapper. I sang. We had like different DJs and different players that would play with us, and we kind of had this idea to start a music festival in Saskatchewan, just because there's not a lot going on here. You know, you got a few folk fests and a country festival, and that's it. But there was no festival that really had like rappers, hardcore bands, electronic stuff, like kind of things more on the fringes. So we started that, and that was called Trifecta Music Festival, and that actually went pretty well somehow. You know, I guess I just applied what I learned in engineering to like engineer this music festival, and it went on for a while. Somehow we never lost money. We somehow made money. And at that time, my hip hop band with Savan, Samurai Champs, we were starting to tour more. We toured Europe, the UK. We played South by Southwest. We got to do a lot. You know, I was really lucky. I was so young. I was like young 20s. And when I look at that now, I'm like, wow, I didn't know what I was doing. So much of it was luck, just having like the right people at the right time, the right friends to help out at the right time. But I got to see the world with like my music and my best friend, and it was pretty magical. And then obviously because we were like a hip hop Asian boy band, party band kind of thing, that ended during COVID because, you know, parties just like evaporated. But then that's what kind of gave way to this stuff, this solo stuff and Ghostform right now.
I guess, was there any sort of funny moments you remember with your tours throughout Europe? I guess, I don't know if it was, it's like, oh my gosh, I could drink. I'm 16. I could actually drink. So,
Oh yeah, I mean, there's a lot, but the one that always stays in my mind, we played a hip hop festival in the Netherlands, and there was one event in Amsterdam, I remember, and it's Amsterdam, right? So I think we were on mushrooms or something, and we were kind of getting kind of racist vibes, I think, because yeah, like I'm half Cantonese, half Thai. Savan's Cambodian, so we're both Asian. Our DJ's Filipino, and I don't think they really liked us for some reason. And I just remember not getting mad, but you're like, okay, let's just like really throw down tonight. And I just remember someone tried to like cut our music, and Savan is like the best freestyle rapper ever, so we just like kept going, and then I just like destroyed the stage, just zooked on mushrooms. And then the next day we were like, oh sweet, we have a day off. And we had the most innocent day off. We just wanted to go for like a bike ride through Amsterdam. And then there just happened to be, I think it was like a football game. I think it was Manchester against some local team there, and then just biking, seeing like a smoke grenade like just go off, and then like a riot, and was like, oh, we just wanted a peaceful bike ride. But yeah, we were just like our young 20s. When I look back at that now, I'm like, wow, we were like so lucky to get to experience that kind of stuff.
as soon as you said mushrooms, I was like, okay, this is going to be a problem. So,
Yeah.
so there we go.
Yeah, it's
So,
like, oh, why can't we get a break?
I don't know. I've been to Amsterdam. You know, we screwed up on our last trip because we used our extra day when we were in Switzerland. So we only saw like one day of Amsterdam. It was just like one museum, stop at a Hard Rock, and then try to walk back. Well, it's like not a hard rain, but it was raining a little bit. So not the best experience, but we at least saw what we could with Amsterdam, to say the
Yeah,
least.
you got to do what you can.
That's for sure. Okay. So I guess since you mentioned COVID, because it seems like COVID kind of dashed your hip hop career, to say the least. So
Yeah,
I,
it's okay. It turned out for the best, I think.
obviously, but I guess leading up to COVID too, I guess what were you guys doing, and then how bad was COVID for you on a personal, family, and music level?
Oh, I know sometimes this is like a not the best thing to say, but COVID might have been like the best time of my life, I think. Like again, because I'm just, there's like house music, and then there's like deep house, there's like introverted, and I'm like deep introvert. So obviously that's kind of, I don't know, contradictory, I guess, to playing in like a hip hop boy band, always playing parties, always staying up till like 3, 4 in the morning. And COVID kind of gave me the chance to just be quiet for a little bit. I remember Savan said that too. He was like, wow, like you're writing so many songs again. I finally had time, I think, to process all of the emotions that I went through or we went through with all the hip hop stuff. Like we were touring quite a bit for 4 or 5 years and never really stopped to think about it. And it was actually the basis of that turned into like the solo songs that I have now. Because also like not just the festival eventually turned into an artist collective, Trifecta Sound. And so it wasn't just us touring, our artists would tour with us too. So we just had some of like the craziest adventures, but I just never had a chance to really take it in or process anything until that period when everything locked down. And that's basically the time where I wrote my first solo album that's out now. That's also, I guess, how Ghostform came to be. When COVID shut everything down, Surf Dads, like Gage's indie rock band, they toured all the time too. Like while Samurai Champs was touring, a lot of the time Surf Dads was also touring, and somehow we would end up playing the same festival or something like in Europe. So we'd end up hanging out, and it was so nice because me and Gage, we grew up together in the hardcore scene as teenagers. And then when he started doing more of the Surf Dad stuff and I went more to the hip hop route, we kind of spent more time apart, but we always stayed connected somehow because we'd always run into each other on tour. But then once COVID happened and touring was kind of gone, we were both stuck. We were just stuck in our hometown. And he opened up a vegan restaurant because he's a militant vegan. And I was working online. I was working from home. So I would just work at his vegan restaurant all the time called the Hampton Hub. And, it was so nice getting to just hang out again and just talk about all the bands we would listen to in high school, like Taking Back Sunday and My Chemical Romance and The Used and stuff. And eventually we started talking like, you know what, I don't know when's the next time we can actually properly tour again. We should just start maybe like a Taking Back Sunday tribute band, like just for fun. And then we realized like, wait, but we know how to make songs. Like, why don't we just make a new band? And then that's basically how Ghostform came to be. Gage got COVID and he wrote the music for the first EP while he was sick with COVID. And then he sent it to me. And then we just went back and forth, and that's how the music came. So COVID was a great time for me.
A little blessing in disguise, as we say.
Yeah, exactly.
I was kind of the same way because it was the first time working from home, which was a nice experience since he got up right at 8 o'clock and he just went right over to the computer. So thankfully, I still had the job. So, and since I was also introverted too, as I was like, this is fine. I can live with this.
Yeah, this is fine. This is fine. I mean, there were some sad parts. I really realized, I guess, like how much of the artist collective, how much of Trifecta they lived for touring, because most of them actually were quite extroverted. And then I also saw a lot of my close friends, like outside of music, how they were struggling quite a bit too, because they're more naturally extroverted. So once all those things are gone, you know, like meeting outside and going on a patio and stuff, that was pretty hard for them, it seemed. And some of them, I don't even know if they ever really recovered. But man, for me, it was great. It was like the best time of my life.
I think it was almost like a PTSD sort of moment with the COVID shutdown.
Yeah.
So, something like that. So, but on a serious note, were your friends and family, everyone okay?
Yeah. No, everyone got out okay. So it was. I know it wasn't the same for everybody else, but it was okay for me.
That's good. So good to see you, family, and all friends pull through. So good to have you along here for the ride, Merv.
Yeah, happy to be here. How was COVID for you? Like introverted first, like not bad.
I mean, it was pretty much that. And actually, believe it or not, it was also the time I started on my second job, which I think was September of 2020. That was when I got pulled into a second job at a local restaurant. It was actually a friend of our family's, actually. And he's jumped around in various restaurants, and there was his sister who also came like part co-owner, that whole deal.
Mm-hmm.
So they asked me to come in, and I started doing the dishwasher, and 6 years later, here I am, now a sous chef at that place.
Oh, nice. You're a chef.
Not like Gordon Ramsay sort of style, so don't expect me to nail it on the stick, to be honest. So, well, that's the second job. My main job is in accounting. So that one, at least, it's meant to be the financial future, to say the least, there too. The second job is to pay the gas bill and all that stuff.
Got you.
So for me, it was a nice blessing. I mean, it wasn't until like 2.5 years later I had to get dragged back into the office, because that's how it was. Yeah. It was like, you can only do it for so long. Now we need you back in the office.
Yeah, so, right. That's exactly what happened to Gage too.
But I mean, I enjoyed it. I mean, like I said, I just got out right at bed, right at 8 o'clock, and right up to the computer, logged in and everything. Lunchtime, I could probably go out and take a walk, eat lunch whenever I wanted to, and then still actually do the work and use my hour lunch break just to go out and take a walk or do something.
Yeah, totally.
So I was made a joke like, I don't know what you people all get upset about, because COVID for me was pretty fine.
Yeah, no, same for me, dude. Same for me.
But we got through, and unfortunately we couldn't do our international travel, because we actually had a nice little plan where it was like one to an international spots and then one in the States. So that was kind of how we did it a couple of years. And then COVID, we just kind of stuck into the States until they finally said, okay, you can now travel abroad again.
Yeah.
So that was a downside. So, but all in all, family's good and everything. So,
that's good.
Okay. But I guess let's go ahead and talk more about Ghostform. So
so how'd you find Ghostform?
So you did a good amount. I was going to say on Instagram, yeah. So you did a good amount of praying on there. So I do want to talk about the songs just a little bit here too, but I want to know more about the history in this case. So let's see. You were kind of drawn in with the whole hardcore scene, and it seems like kind of took a little bit of separate paths with you guys in different groups, but you still seem to cross paths every now and again. And I guess tell the audience, some of the more history about why Ghostform had formed after COVID.
Yeah. There's just a lot of history between all the guys. Like Chris and Gage had surf dads together. Nolan played in surf dads. Garrett and John were like still are best friends, and they've just always played in bands, like really big local bands here. And yeah, it just kind of made sense, I guess, because everyone also, they have their own lives right now. Garrett's a dad. John owns a bar here. Gage is building an empire. Like, everyone has their own life outside of music, but everyone is so tied to music, though. That's always like the common thread. And then so once me and Gage wrote these songs, and we're like, okay, who's gonna play all of these? And we asked John and Chris. You know, I think everyone's kind of at that stage where we still obviously love music, and music's still like the main thing we do in our free time or our downtime or for fun even, but it's kind of past that point where you are just playing for fun. If you're doing music, if you're playing music, if you're writing songs, you want it to be really good, you know? And sometimes there's no way to really control that, but you want to make sure the people with you are really good, that you're all getting along, no one's lagging behind, no one's got to like babysit anybody. And we're all doing this because we actually feel like we want to keep getting better also. And I don't know, just because it's coming from that place, I think, and like a shared history and all the shared history with the hardcore scene here, even though technically we only started playing shows, what, 6 months ago, and only started releasing songs like under a year ago, it still felt really pure and good, like a force for good or something. Like even the last few shows, we sold out of shirts and people were coming to get stuff signed, and there's just been so many crazy things said to us, I guess, especially if for full context, if people knew where we're from, like this city. It's barely a city. It's a small town, like in Saskatchewan. No one really knows Saskatchewan except for it's like the random place where like I guess Elon Musk has some sort of family ties and Chapel Roan name drops it in a song, but it's not really known for like a music scene and art scene. It is known for like a 9 to 5 type culture, just like a lot of agriculture, lots of like crown corps, and people coming up to say like, wow, this is like the first time in a long time I felt like a band could maybe be something from here, like could maybe be like a bigger band. I had one of the engineers that works in this studio actually like tell me the other day, he's just like, yeah, you guys just came out of nowhere, and I don't see how I could immediately see you guys playing with like huge bands like Taking Back Sunday or Under Oath or something. And that feels really good because it's not, I know everyone wants that on some level, but for us, yeah, that'd be cool. But it's still more so just about like, okay, how can we stay open and get better? We just want to be like better as musicians, better as songwriters, better as artists. And also it kind of like ties in a lot when I was still doing the music festival, Trifecta Music Festival. In some form, like all of the guys in Ghostform would play in different projects. They used to have like another band called Good Girls, and there was another one called Bermuda Love. And in some way, there has always kind of been these like overlapping narratives, these overlapping storylines with all the other bands that these guys have been in. So for it to come together right now as Ghostform has felt like really, really, really special, almost like an inevitability almost. I guess like the main thing, I think like one memory really sticks out this year was before our first gig, like our first actual gig together. It was at this winter festival called Winter Eruption in Edmonton. And I stayed in Regina for longer than I usually do, like 3 weeks, because obviously like, okay, we can't do this stuff online. We need to practice together. And at one point I told Gage, you know, I've had so much fun just like training, just practicing with you guys. I don't even feel like I really need to play the gig. And he's just like, that's so stupid. Like we have to go. But it's just because during rehearsal, I remember looking up one day and thinking like, wow, there's just so many factors that people don't consider to play something that people really recognize, something like really substantial, like a Coachella or a Glastonbury or an Osheaga or something. There needs to be so many things at play, right? You need like the right booking agent, and you need to be the right time and place. Maybe you're from a city with an industry and connections and network and all these things. But obviously you have to be good too, hopefully. But even if none of that stuff ever happens, just looking up at these guys during practice, I was like, it is already so special to feel this feeling of, wow, everyone is actually at the top, like a higher tier of skill. And to be part of that and feel that togetherness of like, most people don't even get the chance to be really good at something in their life, let alone be really good at something together with people that they care about. So that's been like, I think for me, the best part of the band.
I guess his idea was Ghostform, because at first when I saw it, I was like, is this that black metal band? Because there actually was a band called Ghost Bath.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's so funny.
So initially I was like, is this going to be like another black metal band or something? So
No, we're
his
much
idea was the
softer.
name.
We're much softer. We actually had a different name before. It was more so me and Gage. Like this band came out of conversations that we would have at Hampton Hub, like at his vegan restaurant. Um, I guess like a lot of the conversations that we had during that time, also since we were both stuck inside a lot during COVID, was us just like catching up and opening up to each other about what our experiences were with mental health and going to therapy and psychologists, and I guess how we relate to that and balancing like art and music. And then so a lot of the songs are actually from that, like those conversations. A lot of the lines are like direct references to conversations that me and Gage have had. But I also grew up doing like a lot of martial arts, and I also grew up watching a lot of anime. And one of one of the animes I really liked growing up was JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and that you have like a stand, and a lot of animes have this idea of like the last merch drop we did. We have like Gundam as an inspiration for the design. I love like Evangelion, Neon Genesis, and a lot of these, like, a big fighting robot. Like you always have this other being, this like other thing that you're controlling, but sometimes you don't know what part is you. Is the pilot separate from the robot, or the thing fighting? Which is which? And to me, Ghostform, I kind of felt like when you enter a certain zone, whenever if it's like a transitory stage in your life, or depressive state or something, you're almost like a ghost, like in a ghost form. At least I am. And a lot of times people don't want that. They want to avoid that. They're like, why would I want to be depressed? Like, I can't do anything. I'm not happy. But in a lot of these conversations with Gage, we kind of talked about like what we gained from that. Of course, it felt horrible at the time, but a depressive period teaches you so much about yourself, or makes you rethink, why did I do that? Why did I do that? That led to this thing that got me here. I don't want to do that again. It kind of gives you those lessons. And to me, that form is actually quite important, kind of like a Gundam or like an Ava or something. So yeah, I mean, if like obviously we also just wanted like a simple name, 2 syllables and everything. But whenever anyone asks the full spiel, I actually feel like everyone has like a ghost form, and my ghost form, even though it doesn't feel very good when it happens, I think that's actually where all the songs come from. It's like when lots of artists refer to something like the little voice, and sometimes that little voice, if you don't nurture it or foster it, it goes away, and people wonder why they get less creative when they're an adult. It's because you stop listening to your little voice, like you stopped like actually hearing what it had to say. But then if you listen to it, it gives you these things. It gives you like song ideas or art or recipes or something. And to me, like, I think that's what a ghost form is.
I was gonna say that's pretty deep right there too. So you were gonna say like, wait, is this a metal band we're talking about here? Jeez, I thought they were the ones that were supposed to go dark. So,
oh man,
yeah.
I wish we were a metal band sometimes. Just kidding. I like what we are, but maybe one day.
I'd say you definitely had the hard rock, or I guess what I call alternative rock, like what you were mentioning with Take It Back Sunday and some of those groups. Would you say those were maybe more so Take It Back Sunday was the band that kind of influenced the sound for Ghostform?
That's one of them, for sure. I guess looking back at it now, there's a lot of obvious ones that are, having this nostalgia resurgence. So like My Chemical Romance obviously has like a lot of iconic songs, and like The Used, Taking Back Sunday for sure. But honestly, like again, we were all part of like the hardcore scene, and the majority of the bands that these guys have played in are hardcore bands, and I listened to a lot of hardcore growing up too. So a lot of the bands were like Have Heart, or like Killing the Dream, or Verse, Cancer Bats. And now I don't listen to that stuff as much anymore, but I do see where that all those influences come in, because a lot of the techniques almost seem the same. Like, it almost seems sometimes, like, I look back at us after a gig and I'm like, this is so ridiculous. Did we really need this many amps, like this big? It's just so loud. Do we need to play in this low of a tuning right now? But obviously we're playing like pretty stuff. There's like a power pop element there, you know, like I'm trying to write poppier, catchier, emo type hooks, but the band still feels like playing in a hardcore band, and these guys still play like they're in a hardcore band. So yeah, there are a lot of emo influences, but there are a lot of like hardcore influences too. And especially Gage listens to, like, there's the things that we all listen to that each other don't listen to. Gage does listen to like a lot of pop. He loves like Olivia Rodrigo right now. Chris loves a lot of stuff that we all hate. Like lots of the typical cock rock, Nickelback, Papa Roach kind of stuff. If I'm like, on most days, I'm just listening to like a jazz playlist. So in some way, a lot of those things kind of creep in. But I still really do feel like the foundation of Ghostform is we're just like a hardcore band that listen to a lot of hardcore and emo, but also just want to make pretty things too. And there's still also one point, because I know there's always a stereotype like, oh, emo bands have a especially like what most people refer to as emo, not like 90s emo, whiny vocals. That was always one thing I just didn't really get down with. Like, if we're doing vocals, I want them to just be like loud and thick with just tons of power behind it.
That's pretty cool. And actually, it's definitely a throwback to the early 2000s when I started getting into like My Chemical Romance, Take It Back Sunday, and those sorts of bands there too. So you could say it's a nice throwback there too. Especially when I was checking out the songs, it was Sleeves and Second Chances. That was on your EP, Songs to Cry To. So I guess we're going to jump into that, give a nice little promo for your new EP. So tell the audience about Songs to Cry To. I guess, what's the little history behind that?
Yeah, so the music behind those 4 songs, the music's basically what Gage made while he was sick with COVID and couldn't do anything else. But those came after all these conversations we had at his vegan restaurant, and it was just like exactly the sound, I guess, that we were thinking of. You know, when you're talking about a lot of your own personal things with mental health, it's never that cool. Like, and if you feel all like tough guy about it, that probably means you're doing it wrong. Like, a lot of it's really embarrassing, you know, like a lot of it's like, why'd I do that? Like, I was just so embarrassed, or like I feel a lot of guilt or shame or something. And I felt like he put a lot of that into the music, that for me, when I went back to Toronto, it was like so intuitive to write to, I guess. And yeah, there are a lot of like melodic references to Taking Back Sunday and My Chemical Romance, but a lot of it felt like I'm a big believer of there's no real original thought, or like there's no real original art. Everything is just everything you absorb into this sphere inside you, and then you just kind of see what comes out of you based on all your influences and all your experiences you've had. And even that isn't really from you either. It's like some external, I don't know, ghost of art pushing through you in some way. And that's how the music came to be. Then once I wrote everything, all the lyrics and everything, then that's when we got John and Chris. And I think at that point, John hadn't even touched his bass for like years, or like not like years, but basically from COVID, because no one was playing gigs either. It was just like a nice way to come back to music, to like return to it, but not in a way like, okay, now is the time. It just still felt really fun and natural, I guess. The name Songs to Cry To is just because like whenever I see someone cry like in a really healthy way, if they're like heartbroken and they're crying, or they see something really beautiful like their best friend have a baby and they're crying, I'm always like, wow, that looks so beautiful, like that looks so healthy. And for some reason, like I have a lot of trouble crying. Like nothing really comes out. I think I get the feeling, but it just, I don't know, something's like stuck there. Like the appropriate physical reaction doesn't really come. But I think to accomplish the same, or hopefully like almost the same amount of release, I just sing. And then, so to me, like when I was like making the melodies and the lyrics to the songs, and again, I'm not like really a language person. I don't really focus on the lyrics. Like I know they're important, but I will always more so focus on the texture of the sound, and then the lyrics will be secondary. Just I want the song to sound as like, I guess, like pleasing to the ear as possible. And singing, especially the Ghostform stuff, it feels like, to me, like release. It feels like, I guess, to me, like what crying would be to people. So to me, like they're my songs to cry to, I guess. And every song is like, yeah, based on some conversation me and Gage have had in some way. Like Sleeves is about us like accepting that you can't control everything, but still choosing to control the things you can anyway. Second Chances, basically all the lines, we were talking about like people that we've lived with. All the lines in Second Chances are literally things my past roommates have said to me. Irresistible was just about who Gage was dating at the time. And that feeling, like that feeling of like, wow, this is like so exciting. I'm just, like, I totally find this person irresistible. And You Want is just about all the things that like you want, even if you don't, you shouldn't want it. And yeah, and it's still that way. Anytime like me and Gage just, we got the new Halo the other day, and we just like played, I think, till like the third or fourth level, stayed up till like 1 a.m. And I was like, wow, we played an emo band and we just like blasted through Halo co-op. Like we really are in 2006 again. But anytime we're doing just like these things, these stupid things, like driving to a gig or practicing or eating or playing a video game, we'll just talk about something. And for some reason, there's some part of the conversation that will trigger something. Just like, oh, maybe that could be a song.
That's pretty cool. It looked like you did Sleeves twice on the EP right there too. Was one like a little remix, or what's the story behind that?
The last one is just it's just a clean version, just because we just kind of figured like, oh, we should probably do a clean version just for radio.
That's it. Oh, smart. Otherwise, I always thought they threw in like the little E's for explicit. That whole deal whenever, as long as it didn't have any swearing or explicit content with murder, violence, and all that sort of stuff.
Oh yeah. No murder and violence in this EP. That was the hip hop stuff.
I guess so. So, I guess what's your plans for this year with Ghostform outside of some shows here? I guess do some shows and then maybe come back next year with some new material.
Yeah, we're working on a new EP right now. We're actually almost done. We might even work on it more and make it into an album. I don't know. It's especially like for me, it's very hard to write music, to focus on writing music and creation while I'm gigging, I guess, just because, I don't know. I'm just one of those people that I have to really like make different personalities for when I perform. Because, I don't know, Merv in Ghostform, I'm like spitting water everywhere. I'm like throwing things. And regular me would never do that. Like I would never, I would respect your household, So yeah, having to hold those different personalities doesn't really lend well, I think, to focusing on something that requires a lot of solitude, like making music. So Gateway was like our last summer gig, our last summer festival. So I think we have a few months that we're just going to work on some new material and all the other things, like make content, just spend time together, just focus on like the non-external parts of it. But we'll probably have a few gigs more like in the fall.
Have you guys just mainly stuck, I guess, just in Ghostform? I guess, have you guys just kind of stuck in around Canada, or have you also come down to the States for a couple shows?
Not just Canada for now. It's been, I guess we're trying to, just because both of our bands, both Samurai Champs and Surf Dads in the past, we did tour like a lot, and it's just different now. Like the guys have lives at home, and we don't really want that to ever get in the way. We don't want the band to get in the way or feel like it's like infringing on their actual lives. So we're just taking it as they come. But it was sweet. This was like, yeah, our first year playing gigs. Like we only started playing gigs in February, and so yeah, we already played like festivals in Western Canada. We played a festival in Toronto, and yeah, hopefully we'll make it down to the States. We'd love to play South by Southwest. That was always like a big one for Gage because I don't think he's done that yet.
Right. Well, I'll certainly put that on the bucket list there too. So hopefully you boys can make it happen at some point.
Yeah, hope so. I really hope so.
All right. Let's go ahead and jump into the gear that maybe you use. I don't know if you know what everybody else uses, but I guess what gear do you have to make the magic happen?
Yeah, this is definitely where I wish Gage was here. All the guys are gear is like definitely a part of their life, and it's definitely not a part of mine. But what I do know is, okay, John uses a trainer stack, like a cabin ahead. I'm totally gonna butcher this. Nolan really likes using Vox cabs. Gage uses like a high watt. He's been switching through the different guitars. He's got like a nice selection of very emo looking guitars. He's been using what does he use? A Jazzmaster. There's a Rickenbacker. What else? Nolan uses a Jaguar. Yeah. This is the one question I was like, oh shit. We can come back for another one with Gage and he'll be able to answer better.
It's actually popped up in interviews. It's like the one person I need to interview is not the gearhead. So. No. That's okay to do. So that's all
yeah, right. It's like it's so different because like I play guitar with my solo stuff, but I'm not that good of a guitar player like anymore. I just, you know, I know how to play my songs and I play enough to get through the set. But I don't know. For me, it's like not as much about the gear. I'm just like, okay, I just got to make sure I'm vocally healthy and physically healthy. I don't get too gassed. Like that's my gear is the being, you know.
I guess so. But I guess to kind of replace the gear question, I guess talk about this studio right here. Is this a strictly yours? Is this where we also make the magic happen in terms of making music and that sort of stuff?
No, this studio is called Blue Door Recording. It's the one commercial studio in Regina for sure, but I think actually in all of Saskatchewan. The history of it is, do you know CBC? It's kind of like Canada's primary like national broadcasting service. They used to have like beautiful studios with all the best gear. For music, actually, for like a lot of like sessions and recording, and that all shut down. But then the owner of the studio got a lot of that gear, and there's a lot of artists that record out of here. Lots of bands, lots of artists. I just work here. Like I just manage it. I just do like a lot of the background stuff and the socials and everything. I recorded all of my solo stuff here, though, actually. Everything my solo project Merv XX Gotti has on Spotify was recorded here, mixed by Walter Jaworski, who is the chief engineer here. He's actually nominated for like audio engineering of the year or something in the Western Canadian Music Awards. So yeah, he's like top tier. But ironically, we have not recorded any of the Ghostform stuff here, and that was just out of necessity because by the time we were recording, I don't know, our schedules were just like so not good. I was not here. We'd kind of had to piece it together. And even when we pieced it together, it was just easier. We just did it in Chris's parents' basement. Yeah, he has like he's graduated to like a nicer studio in Toronto now. His studio is actually quite nice, but when he was still living here, his studio was just his parents' basement. So we just used it again. And if anything, I think that captured a lot of the personality just because it felt like just familiar and safe again, especially because it was like such a new thing. I mean, we might do some new Ghostform stuff here, maybe, but who knows? But yeah, if people want to check it out, this is Blue Door recording. Yeah, and I love the studio. It's like clean and nice, has everything you need. There's like a real piano that you can use. It's really good. So yeah, if anyone ever rolls through Saskatchewan, come check out Blue Door.
Sort of a home away from home, I guess when you put it that way.
Yeah,
So,
totally. Like even though I live in Toronto, like I spend most of my time in Toronto when I'm not touring. I mean, this time the Ghostform stuff, the second EP that we're working on, I recorded with Chris at his studio, the vocals. But a lot of my solo stuff, I'll still actually, if I can, route the tour and spend some time here at home. I still try to record everything I do here, just because I don't know, it has all like the preamps I like, and the vocal chain is just like really good for my voice. And I don't know, it's just like this is a small town, you know. It takes 5, 10, 15 minutes to drive here. I don't gotta lug all my stuff on the TTC on the train, like spend an hour there and back. So yeah, this does feel like home still.
that's pretty cool. So I guess, does that mean all of your music on this EP right here, it was all DIY?
Songs to Cry To, yep, that was just all in Chris's parents' basement, believe it or not.
Let's guess we'll go over the phones up there too. And just give you a little review. Good to see the hard rock and that sort of stuff, or alternative rock, as I said earlier. It's good to see it's still going strong. So
Oh yeah.
approved.
That's the way we still like to do it. Even this new EP, like, was all like the new songs. Who knows? It might be an EP, it might be an album, but the new songs we did in even more of a ridiculous process. Like some of it, I think we recorded the drums in Chris's parents' basement, and then we recorded the guitars and the bass in a jam space that the guys rent out here, and then I recorded my vocals in Toronto at Chris's studio, and I think we recorded Gage's vocals here. So it was just wherever it needed to be.
All right. So Merv, how about we do one more question and then we'll jump into some extra fun ones. So
Okay.
for last one right here though, this one kind of delves into AI and maybe a little bit of social media here too. So what do you make of both AI and social media these days? A little bit of a double-edged sword?
Man, this one's such a loaded question.
For good reason.
Yeah,
So-
for good reason. I mean, all the guys in Ghostform are pretty anti-AI, and I know that's just a product of the time that we were raised in, music-wise. You know, like all of us learned music and songwriting and being in bands by being in bands, like teaching ourselves how to use Pro Tools and Fruity Loops and whatever to record ourselves, like booking our own tours, getting paid in beer. So that's obviously completely opposite than what the world is now, right? It's really strange because, like, in terms of AI, like in all of the bands I've been in, I've always kind of been, you know, there's sometimes like two band members. They're like the band parents, and one is like the fun parent, and one is like the parent that does all the taxes. I'm always the band parent that does the taxes, like, you know, like figures out all like the advance info and books everything. And AI has been really helpful with like grant writing and, like, you know, all this stuff that I shouldn't have to be doing this stuff, I think. You know, like a lot of the grants and festival type things, like it takes a lot of time, and it is really helpful there. Where it's different when it comes to the music is it's really strange when people think you can just, you know, tell an AI a prompt, and that means you're creative suddenly, or you're a songwriter, or you're all these things. When AI is doing jobs that change the person themselves, I don't think that's necessarily like a healthy thing. And usually that's what I find people that do use AI to make music, they are the kinds of people that they're missing that part already. And what I mean is like, for someone to write a song or an album or whatever, and it doesn't have to be music, it could be anything. It could be martial arts, it could be visual arts, it could be like being a chef, anything. You learn a lot about yourself. Like, you have to like dig into yourself, like, well, why am I making this thing? What is the purpose? And maybe that isn't super obvious, but you kind of learn with all the repetitions, all the songs you make, all the dishes you make. And then in creating that, now you have like all these obstacles, like, oh, I don't really know how to program drums this way. Like, I don't know how to make this part. And then you learn about like, oh, I react this way when I problem solve. I react this way when things are hard. But now that I know that, I can like learn more about myself. Like, okay, how do I get better at this? When you subtract that part from the creation process, yeah, you may have made a song, but you're unchanged. You know, the whole point of art is it's supposed to change you, the creator. And then it's supposed to change someone else, hopefully, if they're going through something similar, something as universally human as you are. And yeah, I'm actually on the side, like, AI has a lot of applications that can be really, really, really useful in terms of like things that are mundane and monotonous that humans don't want to do. You know, like, what are you going to use, an abacus or like a calculator? But then there's an argument to say like, well, people are like the worst at navigating, the worst at mental math they've ever been. So there is that part too. You know, people are forgetting how to write, people are forgetting how to read, when I don't think any of those things are good. But art specifically, creativity, like creating something, that's always kind of been, I guess, a benchmark of like who a person is, how they interact with the world around them. It also shows like kind of what state they're in as a person, as an individual, but also their society, the country they live in, their family, their culture, all these things. You can't really use AI to make something and think you're still going to gain and learn all those things. So the use of AI and that kind of stuff, I'm just like, well, why would you do it? You know, like, what are you even getting? What are you even getting out of this? To me, it's almost like exercising, like working out, but you're not getting any of the benefits. It's almost like hiring a robot to like lift a dumbbell for you. Like, sweet, the dumbbell's getting lifted, but you're not actually changing. Yeah, so that's my stance on the AI stuff. And I don't know, people can love it or hate it or whatever. And I'm the Diet Coke here already. The guys are way more against it than me. Like, they won't even use like an amp sim a lot of the time. Like, sometimes I feel like making these Ghostform records is almost like, you know, being like a restaurant that bakes its own bread or something. Like, I see, and a lot of the time when I'm touring and I look around, like, wow, like I see so many less pedal boards than I used to see, so many less amps. Everyone's just using like a, what are they called? Like, yeah, like those, just like the amp sims, the Qualcomm Quadra something. Just like everything you have, like every pedal, every amp is just like in this little box, and they do sound pretty good. Like, it's for sure, technology has like come a long way, but it's just kind of missing that the realness or the warmth or something. I guess like the reason why people still buy vinyl and listen to vinyl, it just feels different than listening to it on Spotify. And these guys are all like that. Like, anytime we even like just track guitars, track bass, I'm like watching these guys like stack these amps, waiting for it to get to like the right temperature. Like, it's like they're baking bread. So I don't know. I'm already on like the lighter version of that, I think. Social media, I think, is like a weird one too. I'm actually not inherently against social media, but I think more so against like the algorithmic part of social media. Social media was so much fun, like in high school, you know, uploading your music to MySpace and seeing, oh, this band has like these top friends and I can check out these bands. Like, it felt very human. Early Instagram felt like that. Early Facebook felt like that. And even with the algorithmic stuff, it's still nice. Like, I see people liking the stuff we make. Never would even be doing like this podcast without social media also. But that is also in mind with like, I try to be more conscious of like, I know this is not mentally healthy for me to be on here. I know this is not good for me, but this is for work. This is like, there's a purpose for this. but these things are designed to like zap your attention. You know, like I still like reading books, like physical books on paper. I still like watching 3-hour movies. If someone doesn't have that kind of preference, that's where I feel like it's really scary, because some people, they're not actually aware that they're like addicted to their phone or they're addicted to social media. They don't even know. It's just eroding their attention span without them even knowing. It's also, it feels like it's eroding their preferences sometimes. Someone said this thing to me. They were like, yeah, I'm kind of scared that I'm like forgetting how to think for myself. And that seems to be what's happening a lot of the time. Like if I do use AI, I can kind of get a sense of a feel of it. Like what was the last task I needed it to do? Oh, I was just looking for like a Nanic case or like a Pelican case for this amp that I want to use on tour. And an amp is a certain dimensions, like it's a certain specs of dimensions. Pelican case are certain dimensions. Am I going to waste like 2 hours just looking at dimensions of boxes? It's like great for that kind of stuff, you know? And even if I was to like, yeah, even if I was to get a human to do it, no human wants to do that. They're like bored as hell. So in terms of that, it was actually pretty good. What scares me is when people say they have a thought and should I do this or should I do that? Should I like this or should I like that? And they just immediately ask an AI. So instead of thinking for yourself, you just ask something else. Instead of thinking for yourself, you look at, I don't know, what someone's saying on social media, some influencer or something. I swear a lot of the time, like people kind of get confused, similar to the songs or the art. What is actually the things that you created? You know, like, is this song really from you? Is it really original? Or is it just like a collection of influences from like all the things that you heard? And the thing that it's your interpretation that is as close to yours as it can be. But when it comes to opinions, I think, and then you ask, hey, why do you think that? Like, why do you feel so strongly about this? Why do you hate that? Or why do you love this? And they can't really explain. They're actually just regurgitating what like an influencer said or someone that influences them said or what the AI said. To me, that gets really scary because it's like, oh, this person doesn't have thoughts of their own anymore. It was also eroded with their attention span. But then you obviously can't say that to them because they get really mad. No one likes saying that we have no free will, you have no free will. And just being completely open, I am a big believer that none of us have free will anyway. So yeah, that's my whole spiel for AI and social media.
Well, that's definitely a lot to take in there too. So I'd say the AI thing definitely gets a little complicated because I have interviewed a couple of people that have used it for their music, and I know one. He seems to probably be saying a lot more of it. I'll give him a shout out to. It's a shield bearer, and he utilizes it a good bit for his music, and he sometimes has a sort of talks with other people who are pretty much against it, and it's almost like, why are you against it, that sort of thing, and then he doesn't get a response back. So it's almost like, can we at least have a friendly conversation between both sides? So
yeah, see, like I would like to talk to them about that. Like I actually like talking to people when they have an opinion of like social media was a force for good, it changed their life, or AI for that matter, any of those things. Like I actually kind of want to know, because again, part of it maybe just bias, because I know I get a lot of intrinsic value, I guess, from making songs and touring and gigging and stuff. And I don't know if that's the same for a lot of people, because the thing is, like, even if I never released music, I would just be happy that I made the song. Like that helped me heal through something. Like that was the only way I would process or get over something. But for someone else, the reward system is a little different. And I feel like that's why they could be really good at social media, because chasing like the likes and the follows, like the high, feels really good. And I do feel like artists, but anyone outside of artists, anyone that are like really good at social media, is, again, it's like is like a reward system feedback loop kind of thing. They want to keep doing it because it feels good to them, right? And I think I might be missing that part of the brain a little bit. Like, yeah, followers and likes are cool and stuff, but I already got all the satisfaction from just making the song. So I don't know. So I could be biased because I'm maybe not as good at it because it doesn't reward me intrinsically the same way. But I would love to hear like the other side too.
Let's see if we get you guys connected, but maybe I'll do that for email there too. But all right. But in the meantime, check out for the Good Soldier with the whole AI and social media stuff there.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Merv, do you have some time for some extra fun questions?
Yeah. Let's fire them.
All right. So I'm curious if there's a particular dish I've not heard about yet out of Saskatchewan, but what would you say is currently your favorite food?
From Saskatchewan specifically?
Well, I guess your preference, really, but I'm curious if it's also a particular dish I've never heard about, to be honest. So,
Oh, okay. Yeah. No. We can go there. I mean, in terms of like food, there's gonna be tons of stereotypical stuff. Like I spent like, I don't know, 8 years working at a sushi restaurant. So obviously I just like really like good sushi. And Saskatchewan is so landlocked, there's not really any good sushi. But Saskatchewan does have Chris's family actually. Their family or their extended family, like they're Greek, they're very Greek. They have like a huge Greek community here. And they started this franchise called Trifons, and they have like, you know, like pub food and wings and pizza and lasagna and stuff. But the pizza and the lasagna in that style, in like the Greek Saskatchewan style, is very special. Like it's very, very particular. It's kind of hard to describe. It's kind of like a cake. Like it's really thick. That anytime there's like, yeah, I don't know, friends that come from outside of Saskatchewan, like the UK or Toronto or something, and for whatever reason they're here, like I kind of always have to bring them to like, yeah, Triffon's lasagna or a pizza or a poutine. It's like quintessentially Canadian, I would say, but like very particular to Saskatchewan. But also people are in Saskatchewan, like the Vietnamese food is also really good. And both of those things are just, you know, just results of the right immigrants ending up here.
that's good to hear. So, all right, great choices. I guess outside of music, do you have any particular hobbies you do?
Yeah,
Not
that's
really.
always the hardest question. Because, like, I mean, music was a hobby and then it wasn't, you know? I mean, I guess because technically, I still always say this, like, music was not my first art form because I grew up hating music because of piano. But I grew up doing a lot of martial arts, like Chinese martial arts. And that was kind of my main art form. Gone to Muay Thai and kickboxing, and now I mostly do jujitsu. But I still actually feel like I have to refer to that a lot. Like when I kind of rub up against a problem in music or songwriting, maybe the solution doesn't exist in the genre I'm working in. It requires like one element of something from a different genre that's so subtle. And to me, that's very similar of like, oh, if we're like confining this martial art, we cannot find the solution to this, but wait, maybe we can take something from something else. So now martial arts is like, it's still always like my first art form, like my first love, but I guess that's probably the closest thing I have to a hobby now. Like if I have free time or like actually just like time, or even if, you know, the ghost form is really taken over, like the depressive state, I can't really function, brain's not working, music's not going, I can't organize anything, can't write anything. I always end up going back to martial arts somehow. It's like the one thing that kind of gets me back right.
Everybody was kung fu fighting.
Yeah, that was basically my childhood.
That's pretty good. Oh, it's good exercise there too. So, all right, that's all cool. I guess in terms of drinks, between alcoholic and non-alcoholic, what's your favorite between the two?
Oh, it's so hard to just identify one. Non-alcoholic, I drink a lot of tea. I like coffee. I'm just not picky. I drink a lot of things. I'm a big slut for a fridge cigarette, aka Coke Zero. Alcohol wise, Yeah, I'm really not. I'm not really that picky. Like I like beer, wine. Right now, I'm really into Aperol spritzes for some reason. Um, yeah.
You can thank Italy for that there too. I was actually the first time I actually tried an Aperol Spritz was in Perugia, Italy, way back in the day.
Oh, so you got the real thing. You got the
We got the
real
real
thing.
deal, the
You
real
got
OG.
the real
So yeah,
deal. I'm just
yeah.
talking about like, stupid Wednesday like drink deals on a patio or something, but you're talking about the real one.
I mean, I still get it here in the States, but I did have the legit real deal. So yeah, I can at least
Nice.
boast about that. So including actually Parisian chocolate, which is very damn good. They actually give you a nice tour of the chocolate factory if you ever go over there. So
Oh man, I hope so. Maybe we'll tour there.
eventually. All right. All great choices. And last of the fun questions, I guess, who you been listening to recently? I guess in terms of music, regardless if they're independent or mainstream.
Um, Man, it's funny. I've been getting this question a lot lately, and I always like have a hard time answering because I don't really listen. At least like right now, just because we're working on the new Ghostform songs, but I'm also working on a new album for my solo stuff. I actually don't really listen to like a lot of music. I just try to spend a lot of time in silence, I guess, so I can hear my thoughts, or if music ideas come to me, I'm not being distracted by external music. Or if I am listening to music, it's kind of the same way someone will, like sometimes when like someone in academia will say, oh, I just can't read for pleasure right now. And they're reading a lot, but it's just for information extraction to find like the right citation for their paper or something. It's kind of like that. Like I'm like, oh, I remember Taking Back Sunday or Alexis on Fire doing something like that. Like I should listen to see if like there's something I can extract from that. But in terms of like actually listening to music, I typically just put on like a jazz playlist or something. Like I don't know, put Ella Fitzgerald on and whatever comes after her. Oh, I guess a band I've been listening to is Fiddlehead. When we were in high school, Have Heart was just such an influential band. It's like just like a hardcore band from Boston. And then I remember on their final tour, they came through Regina somehow, and then they broke up. And I didn't even realize that the singer Pat Flynn made another band, like made Fiddlehead. It was only recently I was with a friend in Vancouver, and then I was like, "Oh, what are you doing this week?" And he said he was going to Pat Flynn's new band, Fiddlehead. And the song, I was just like searching it up, and the newest song is from the EP Baby I'll Change, and the video is just so beautiful. Like I've never had addiction issues, but the video is about like an AA meeting and a band playing, and that's basically it, just like a band playing in an AA meeting, but it's so good. Yeah. If you have time, definitely check it out. Baby I'll Change by Fiddlehead. I'm actually seeing them next week in Toronto. I can't wait. But yeah, that's it. That's it. I don't listen to a lot of music these days.
Still kind of got that inner child that still can't really say hate music now because you're technically in a music career at this point, but you know, listen to a
Oh,
whole bunch of it. So
yeah, no, I could never hate music now. I love it more than anything.
that's good. It's all great choices there. All right. So, Merv, we're down to one more question on my podcast. Before we jump into it, would you like to ask me anything real quick?
Yeah. Do you play in any bands?
Not like a touring band, like what you go through. It's more like studio bands. So I mainly just put songs together and then we mix and master and then we just put it out for the streaming services to share with the world, as we would say. But
Ah, sweet. That's awesome. What's it called? What's your band called?
well, I'm in two bands. I used to be in three, but that one's kind of put on hiatus for now. But uh, I'm more of a metalhead. So the first one is Demiurge, and then the second one is Nocturnal Monarch. And the third one that's on hiatus is Shadows in the Dark. Those are a friend of mine out of Indiana.
Demerge. How do you spell that?
DEMIURGE. It's probably best to put Terror of the Deep as like for the album title. If it probably lets you search for that too, because you'll find a good amount of people with that name used as well as even like the song title from Meshuggah that also uses that too.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. I thought it sounded familiar. Okay, yeah. Sweet. I'm gonna listen to this later.
You have to probably dig for it, but if you want, I'll send you a link so that way you don't
Yeah.
click on the wrong one.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
all right. Anything else?
What's it like where you are? Like, what's the music scene like? What's touring there like? If we ever come through.
You got plenty of venues to choose from. So you have the big ones, which are the Rock Scene Theater. There's Preserving Underground, which was formerly a church converted into a venue. Stage AE. There's definitely plenty of venues. I know a lot of like the smaller ones, but they're all kind of like spread in and around the area of Pittsburgh there. But there is plenty to choose from. And after that, just get on the bill or maybe knowing a band in around Pittsburgh that you could probably try to get together and try to see if you're able to get a show, that whole deal. So
sweet. Okay, and I'm definitely gonna hit you up. I really want to come.
all right. I do know a band like Sandra, but they're more of like a not alternative rock, but it's more like the alternative metal. So like what you get with a band called Counterparts.
Oh yeah,
those sorts of bands. So yeah, they're more like that.
Gotcha.
So they're always interested in collaborating or even like playing shows with other people as well. So I can send it to you for your email. So once we're done here. So
yeah, sounds good.
All right. Anything else?
No.
All right. So for the last question right here, here's how I worded. So given the amount of negativity that you've been seeing going on in the world these days since COVID, these days people need some sort of hope. So what would be your message of hope for musicians and people out there so that they can move forward with their lives?
Wow, this one's a big one. I mean, at least the way I deal with it, you know, sometimes I really wish I was one of those people that doesn't seem to be too bothered by, like when you say, you know, with everything happening in the world and people are like, wait, what? Like, what's happening in the world? Like some people actually don't really notice, you know, and I don't even mean that in the way of like, they're so busy with their life and 9 to 5 and kids and whatever. Like it's actually just, this is just the world and everything's fine. Or like stick your head in the sand and ignore it. Like nothing's actually going on. There's no war. There's no genocide. There's no nothing. But I don't know. Sometimes when people ask, do I get nervous before a show? I remember when I first started playing music again, like after COVID, like, yeah, I was writing a lot of songs, but I was just having a great time in my basement, being by myself, smoking weed and just making songs. And then eventually my friends were like, hey, you can't just stay in your basement and smoke weed all the time. Like you got to get back out there. And I remember one of the first shows I did, it was at Gage's like restaurant. And I just remember packing all my gear and thinking, why am I doing this? Like, no one cares. Like, who cares? Like, no one, nothing matters, especially right now. And I kind of go into this whole nihilistic loop of like, everything we do, nothing matters. Like, literally nothing matters. But then I was like, wait, but like, music's like the only thing that actually matters to me. And that on top of like, well, it'd be kind of a dick move to just like bail on Gage. He set up this whole thing, everyone that paid to come. It's just like, well, what? But yeah, I know some people see that as like nihilistic, I guess, but I find it really, I guess, like liberating in a way. Once you, and it's like hard to get this cognitively. I think you have to actually kind of feel it. Is like when you realize, wow, nothing actually matters. Like we are just like a speck of dust. Our existence is just dust in the grand scheme of things. And then you can go through that and be like, and again, some people that makes them feel so hopeless that they just don't do anything. So I don't really know how to relate to that. But if you're someone that you realize after that nothing matters, and then it makes you think of what actually matters to you, then there's like no question. Why would you not make music? Why would you not make art? Why would you not care for your family? Like these things that are actually important to you. And when people are doing those things, I feel like those are the only things that actually make people hopeful again. And then when people do that enough times, hopefully, and enough people do that, eventually more people actually feel hopeful. Like, oh, right, there is some hope here. That's been the really nice thing I think about with like, yeah, sometimes people say like, well, you should focus more on your TikTok and like gaming the algorithm and these things. But when I tour and when I gig and when I go to these festivals, especially the small town ones, there's still this feeling of that. And maybe it's just for that weekend, maybe it's just that festival, but it's that feeling of like, oh, maybe things will be okay. Like when people are getting together with their families and these kids are watching music, like what's better than that? They're like, everyone is actually just doing what actually matters to them. And that seems to be something that actually makes things a little bit more hopeful. Because I don't know, whoever got stuff like done or made things better by just being like big negative Nancy doom gloom all the time, you know?
I'd say it's a lot easier being doom and gloom and that sort of stuff there too. So, or at least have a certain degree of vitriol behind it too. So, all right. But nonetheless, spoken like a true prodigy. So, okay. So, Merv, we have reached the end of my podcast right here. We talked a little over an hour and 20 minutes. I guess before we close out, you want to give any shout outs to anybody?
Yeah, my band. If you guys want to check out my band Ghostform, it's just Ghostform Band on everything. But also check out the people behind the band. You know, Gage, Chris, Garrett, Nolan, John. They're all like the most incredible musicians, incredible human beings that you'll ever meet. Everything that they work on, even outside of music, whether it's like a bar or like another music project, or like Chris is like a beautiful producer in Toronto now. Like everything they work on is just so worth checking out. So yeah, check out Ghostform Band. And if you like my stuff, if you want something a little quieter, if I just make sleepy music, Merv XX Gotti, it's everywhere. I just released an album too. Songs to Cry To is the EP by Ghostform, but my solo album is called Guitar Songs, a thesis on low efficiency emotional extraction. I wrote the album after I finished writing my master's thesis. That's why it has a long, obnoxious name. But yeah, if you guys want to check it out, I also run the studio that I'm sitting in, Blue Door Recording, in Saskatchewan. If you want to check it out, and the festival that became an artist collective is a label now called Trifecta Sound Co. If you want to check that out too.
All right, sounds good. And what social media and streaming platforms is your music on, both for Ghostform and your solo projects? So they can check you out and interact.
It's on everything. It's on everything, all the typical things. Spotify, Tidal, Apple. The best way is probably, yeah, just hit either my Instagram up or the Ghostform one up, just like you did. And there's just the link in bio that leads to everything. I try to make it extra easy for people. You know, we don't need extra clicks.
I guess not, but all right, sounds good. So let me just close out like this real quick. So, everyone, my guest today was Merv, aka Merv XX Gotti. He's part of the band Ghostform and also part of his own little solo project going there. So, make sure you hit up on the socials, all stream platforms and everything. Let's go support our fellow Canadian out there. Hey, that whole deal. So, Merv, thank you again so much again for coming on here, mate. So, you do stay sick because you know there's one pretty fucked up world out there. Oh, God. And lastly, strike a pose for the audience. Stay tuned, y'all.
Yo, thanks so much, Brian. See ya.